If you're going to try these techniques at home, there is one bit of kit I'd say is essential, and that is a sandbag, because I'm going to put one light in front of my model, I'm going to put the same light behind my model, and this is why you need the sandbag, above my model as well, to create a variety of different looks using the same light in the same environment. Because just because you've only got one light doesn't mean to say you can't be creative. So let's start by getting a light set. That's actually it. Let's get a model in and let's get shooting. Don't need that yet. So to help me out today, I've got the amazing Chloe. Chloe's going to be the model for this photo session, and the first thing we're going to do is actually set up the camera, because we've got lighting going on in here that I don't want to be recorded as part of my picture. So my camera settings are going to be a shutter speed of 250th of a second. That's my flash sync speed. I'm going to go with f5.6 for a reasonable depth of field, and ISO 200. And at those settings, no flash gives me this, no picture. The lighting for this is going to be flash. It is the Flashpoint Evolve 200 Pro. That doesn't matter so much as the light modifier. I'm going to be using a strip box, because this, in a small studio space like this, is a really versatile light. You can have it vertical, you can have it horizontal. I like to use mine horizontal, but what matters is the position, which is what this video is all about. So I'm going to start with the light in front of Chloe, and then we need to think about the height. Now, the height will affect the results quite significantly, so I'm going to try and stay to a roughly same format, which is make it high enough that I can actually see Chloe underneath the lower edge of my softbox, which is roughly about there. So I've made sure that my flash matches my camera settings. Now, you could do that with a flash meter, or you could just do trial and error. However you get there is absolutely fine, but this is quite a central position. And if I take a photo like this, I get light that is fine, okay, nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It is very safe and very sensible. But the nice thing about having lights in front of your subject is it's a really versatile light position, because I can move this. So if I move this just a little around, so it's coming in from more like 45 degrees, I don't have to change the exposure so much because the distance hasn't changed, but I can take a picture and get amazingly different images. So this has more direction to the light. There's shadow both on Chloe and on the background because she's fairly close to it. This looks a lot more interesting. So I think we should take a few photos like this. But first of all, I probably should untangle my cable. Oh, no, that's worse. That's much worse. Right, let's do that again. When you move the light, you not only change the direction of the light, but potentially you change the amount of light that reaches your model. So every time you move it, double check that the exposure is still correct. For the second lighting look, I'm going to do overhead lighting, but I'm not just going to set this up and get Chloe in. I'm going to make sure this is safe, because the minute you start moving your light out, you start to unbalance your light stand. So I've got a C-stand with a grip arm, and underneath I've got the legs of the C-stand. The light is over the top of the tall leg. It is okay, it balances all right, but it is unsteady. It won't take much to tip this over. That's where a good sandbag is going to come in, and there's no sand in my sandbag, it's gravel, which is heavier and doesn't leak out. You put that over the tool leg, and now everything is much more sturdy and stable. Then I'm going to set the light up like this, way up in the air, or at least as high as I can reasonably get it. And that is when I ask Chloe to come in once everything else is stable. Okay, Chloe, in you come. And I'm going to move Chloe to the back edge of the light. Let's get a camera, take a photo. And there's a couple of things I want to fix here. The first one is pretty obvious. If the light is above your subject and they're looking straight ahead, there's not going to be any light in their eyes. So the fix for this is really easy. Chloe, can you just look up towards the light? And now we have beautiful light in Chloe's eyes. Just because you're taking a portrait doesn't mean to say your subject has to look at the camera. The next thing I'm going to change is the background, because it's a little bit dark, but we're only using a single flash for this. So the fix is really simple. Chloe, do you want to just step out of the way? I'm going to move the light. So let's lower it down so I don't bash anything on the way as I move this over towards the background. So I'm going to pop it right up against the background, get it as high as I reasonably can, make sure everything is safe, and then ask Chloe, do you want to come stand back underneath the light once again? So with Chloe looking at the light, we've got light in her eyes, but we also have that light washing down the background and giving us that definite direction to the overhead light. It's a pretty simple trick that really looks good. In fact, so good, I think we should take a few photos like this. Chloe, are you ready? Here we go. The Flashpoint Evolve 200 Pro Mark II and the strip box is a pretty light combination, and if you want to find out more about the gear I'm using, you'll find links in the video description down below. But remember, the bigger the light, the bigger the sandbag you need. And finally, we get to the last lighting position for this little setup, and that is putting the light behind Chloe. Now, with a single flash, this is perhaps the least logical place you're ever going to put your light, but it could be the most creative. However, you need to think about where the light's going to go. Pre-visualize the light before you take the photo. So at the moment, Chloe is facing, well, towards you. Let me take a photo and think about what this is going to look like. The end result is maybe not exactly what you had in mind. The color of the background has almost disappeared. The light's not really pointing at it. There is edge light on Chloe, but we can't really see her face. So the solution for this is actually pretty straightforward. Chloe, just turn and face that way. If Chloe turns towards the light, well, this is what happens. We end up with light reaching Chloe, just about. And the end result is really nice. So much so that I think we could take a few photos like this. Chloe, are you ready? Here we go. Now, if you're wondering where the light on Chloe's face is coming from, well, I'm in a small home studio, so light bounces off the wall and the ceiling, and eventually some of it will find its way back onto Chloe's face. Just having one flash isn't something that should be a limiting factor. It should be the catalyst to be creative. And for that, I actually find the strip box the most versatile light in a small home studio. But maybe you've got a different idea, in which case, let me know down in the comments. Whilst you're there, give it a thumbs up. And if you've enjoyed this video and you haven't already done so, you should probably have clicked on that subscribe button by now. I'm Gavin Hoey. Thanks for watching.